live stream for Nod-Krai. Let me see. We missed like 1 minute. There we go. Let's see it. Let's see it. Tell me everything about Nod-Krai. Let's start with Nod-Krai. Behind the scenes of Genshin Impact. Okay. Song of the Welcome Moon. Dude, I'm so hyped.
在诺德卡莱的相关信息放出之后，项目组的小伙伴们
Our colleagues at the project team noticed that many travelers had all sorts of interpretation and speculations. Some were a little fantastical, sure. But some were very close to what we had in mind. So to satisfy everyone's curiosity today, we'll be discussing matters from our perspective as creators, okay? And talk about what we expect for Nod-Krai's version content. I also want to share with everyone our thought process and philosophy behind creating Genshin Impact. Sure. Working on Genshin Impact is like weaving a huge canvas. We start with 2 directions. An adventure through nations, searching for your sibling. A few years later, the canvas has gradually begun to take shape, indubitably. But when we look back on it now, we can't help but think something's not right. The canvas has too many loose threads. These threads are full of interesting stories. So they're saying that they made Nod-Krai as a way to kind of like get rid of all those loose threads and like kind of figure it out. Our pace was too fast and we rushed it, okay? So there were many meaningful things that we couldn't fully show to our travelers. Fair enough. This is a common mistake in any creative process. The creator may forget that the amount of information they have is not what the players have. Indeed. If you forget the player's perspective, you won't realize that the stories you show them are incomplete. True! And players will miss out on experiencing valuable content. True! Or even misunderstand your stories. True! This year our aim is to bring these loose threads together. So that's what I thought, yeah. But simply, we want to return the stars in our canvas to the rightful positions. Interesting, considering that we talk about the fake sky. This is what we want to achieve with Nod-Krai in this next year. Excited for that. We want to tidy up stories scattered across all of Teyvat. And the most important premise for us is to have an ideal location. Okay? In this location, we want to be able to naturally bring in all of Teyvat's different factions. Yay! To get the story together for a common goal, I really hope the Exit Circle will be there. This location has to be a place where all elements naturally converge. For travelers familiar with DC Comics in their universe, Gotham City is one such location. And in Falcom's Trail series of Yes! I can't believe! Trails? Kiseki Mansion? Dude, this guy is goated. This location is a self-governing cross-belt city-state. Yes, sir! My man! There are many similar cases on the games. Night City, Zon, Hive Cities, Tristram, and Drangleic, which I'm sure travelers are familiar with, indubitably. In Genshin Impact, we want to call this location Nod-Krai. Nod-Krai. Yo, this place is so pretty, look at that! It kind of reminds me of a less icy... It reminds me of a less icy, more druidic version of the Ice Peak. I don't remember what it's called. You know what it's called? The ice place next to Mondstadt. Okay, with this approach, Nod-Krai's factions are naturally quite complicated in nature. Instead of doing the same thing as previous versions, where we use the geographical concept of nations, we're instead relying on different factions' common goal. Ooh, okay. To shape the content for the year. From all the past foreshadowings, we chose the moon as a keyword. To be the central theme of this version, you mean the 3 moons? To ensure that travelers can... Dragonspine, thank you. Better feel its significance, this year will also be changing some names, such as changing the way your new versions are named. The Song of the Welcome Moon. As for this song, it will begin after version 5.8. And lasts for around 1 year. Okay. Actually, when we first came up with Nod-Krai and the moon motif, what are you doing, Lily? Why did you close the window? Don't do that. You close the window. Don't you complain to me. Lily closed the window, and then I'm like, what did you do? She's like, dude, it's not my fault you did it.
或者说月亮这个词这个关键词抛出来的时
When
候
we came up with them,
这个
introduced
概
them,
念
we were a bit nervous
我们会有
about
一
this
些担心
concept. Okay.
这些信息
Because
这
these
个名
keywords,
词
yes, yeah.
它其实已经代表
The fact that
着
our
我们已
travelers,
经对一个
yes,
非
are
常
very
接
close to
近
uncovering the
原
truth
始
of
这个
Genshin
故事的
Impact's
真
story.
相
Indeed.
但是如果光说
But if we're
诺卡莱
just talking
光
about
说
Nod-Krai
月
and the moon,
其实是非
then
常
it's
不
not
直观
very
的
intuitive at all.
那针对这个
Facing
情
this
况
situation, I want to bring up our
希望用到
metaphor
刚才我
from
提到的
earlier, okay?
画布叙事
And
的一
name
个
an
特征
advantage of telling our
因
story
为
using a
信息之
canvas
间是
is
有
that
高
all the
度的
information
关
is
联
tightly
性
connected.
所以我们可以
So we can
用
use familiar
熟悉的内容
content to
去带
enable
动
new
我们的内
content.
容用
Oh
关
my
系
god,
紧
and
密的
use
内容
closely
去带
related
动
content,
对于
okay?
旅行者而
To
言
better enrich
还
content that's more
比较
alien to
舒服的
travelers.
内容
As funny to say alien, considering that travelers are indeed aliens.
那基于这个
Based
思
on
路
this
的话
thought process,
我们分
we
别
started
对
our
月
creation
亮
and
和
expansion
诺克莱
separately,
开
okay?
始了
On both
创作和
Nod-Krai
专栏
and the moon.
在月亮的
For
这
the
个概
concept
念
of
上
the moon,
原神里
in
面其
Genshin
实
Impact,
已经
there have
存
been
在
long,
很
there have
多
long
很
been many
多
things that
看
don't
似
seem to be
无
related,
关但是其实高
but
度
actually
相关
tied
的
closer
情
to the
报就
moon.
比如
That's
说
not true!
礼乐的
The
书
book
籍
in
跟
Liyue,
约印
Moonlit Bamboo
对吧
Forest,
还有
and
那
the
本
Forbidden Text
谈
Before
都
Sun
不
and
能
Moon.
谈的禁书
Yeah, those are like some of the biggest like lore-related texts that we've seen in the game since the beginning. The amount of theories that have come from those books specifically, especially Before the Sun and Moon, but also like the Tale of Peruere. There's been a lot of big lore text. Yeah.
日月前世还有雪山
As well as
鹤
Dragon's
怪
Spine, Churumi
还有奥
Island,
斯
the
坎
mural
纳
in
塔的壁画
Oshkanatlan.
甚至
Indeed.
大家
And the
非
Welkin
常
Moon
熟
goddess
悉
that
的
everyone's
月卡
very
历史
familiar with. Paimon?
以及在
In the
空月之
Moon
歌
Web
这个网页
event,
活动里面我们揭露
and the
的预
prophecy we
言
revealed,
还有
plus the version
5.6
5.6 special
版本
program
前瞻
in
节
the
目里
Bibley,
面给大家展示
where
过
we
的
showed off the logo of the
新版本的
new
logo
version. Yeah, it's a three moon togethers.
刚才这些已逝
All this
出的
content
内
just
容，它其
mentioned
实共同
speaks of
反
the
映的
common
一个事
fact,
实，那就是提瓦特
which is
曾经存在
Teyvat's
过三个
once
月
had three
他们
moons,
在提瓦特世界格局
and they existed in
形成之
Teyvat
初的
since
时
the
候
very
就已经
beginning of the
存在了
world.
那这也是为什么我们
That's
说
why we
这个
say
月亮它是具
that the
备最
primordial
原
power of
始
the moon
最
is the
纯
purest
粹的
form
力
of
量
power.
那这
Okay?
股力量甚至比
It's
大
even
家
older
现
than
在
its seven
熟知的这个
elements
气
that we all know and love. But even the seven elements all come from Phlogiston. So does that mean that the moon is related to Phlogiston? Or is the Phlogiston like kind of like the sun, and then the power of the moon is something different? Like, could the power of the moon be like quantum and Phlogiston is supposed to be imaginary? Which, to be fair, we kind of know for a fact that Phlogiston is kind of like the imaginary power because it's been used to craft the different elements out of it, and even other stuff, so maybe.
出力还要更早。那同时呢，也是
At the
因
same
为
time,
月亮的力量
it's
既
because the
纯
moon's
粹
power is
又
so
强
pure
大
and potent
那刚才我们
that the
讲到
factions
了
we
各
talked
种
about
势力，他们
earlier
都会被这股
are
力量
all
牵
lured
引
here
过
by the moon's
那有
power.
的人是为了夺
Some
取
want
它
to seize it for
有的人可能
themselves,
是为了
while
消灭
others
它
seek to
那
destroy
当然还
it.
会有各种各样
Of course,
其他
there are
的
those
理
with
由
other reasons, sorry.
那这些各自
Now, these
有
people with
不
different
同目的
goals
的人，他们聚集在一
come
起，那形
together
成各种势
and
力，
form
那他们
various
之间可
factions,
能
some
会有
wish
一
to
些
butt heads,
冲突。
some wish to
那有
butt
的也可能
butts,
会
while
达成
others
合
want
作
to work
不管
together.
是冲突还是
Regardless
合
of
作，
conflict or
那将会
cooperation,
构
this
成
faction will be an
旅行者
important part
在诺德卡莱冒险的一
of
个
the
很重
traveler's
要的
journey in
部分。
Nod-Krai.
那这个作为故事主舞
As
台
the
的
main
这个
stage
诺
of
德
the
卡莱，
story,
那也会成为旅行者
Nod-Krai will
在
also
新
be
版
what
本中
travelers
的
look
期待的
forward
内
to
容。
most in the new version. And just who will you meet in Nod-Krai? Dottore? I mean, we know for a fact, like, there's so many people over there. There's been a lot of, like, lore drop of the different faction that was shown in the Genshin Impact thingy. Let me show you real quick, guys. So they've been showing all of those things, as you can see. So here there's like the Fatui, the Frost Moon Scions, the Light Keepers, the Wild Hunts, the Voynich Guild. Surprisingly, no Exen Circle. The fact that there's no Exen Circle here is kind of like baffling me, to be honest. Wait, I didn't redeem any of those codes. I'm a terrible person. I need to do it.
我们在创作诺德卡莱的时候
Wild
去思考一个
Hunto!
问题
True.
当你到
when
了
you
一
first
个
enter a
陌生的
foreign
城市
city,
旅行，你第一个
who is the
想
first
见到的
person you
人
would like
是
to
谁呢
see?
大部分情
That
况下
person
是你
usually
的
relative
亲
or
戚朋
friends,
友，对
right?
吧？或者是非常
Maybe
熟悉
even
的
someone
朋
you
友
know from online.
这个道理在诺
Online?
德卡莱是
Friends?
一
What is
样的
that? Same
我们
principle
认为
applies to
最能给
Nod-Krai.
旅
We
行
believe
者
that the
带
one
来
who can
安
best
全
bring
感的
travelers
就
a
是
sense of
我们
security
非常熟
is
悉
an
的
old friend from the 9 to 5
西风
minutes
集
that we're
团
all
的老
familiar
朋友
with.
哪怕是只闻其
Though
名
we
的
only
大
heard of
番
him, the
长
legendary
华山
grandmaster. We're gonna meet
大家
Varka
目
over
前正在
there?
诺德卡莱
He's in Nod-Krai?
中的一些
That can explain
发
so many
现性
things.
调查在
In the upcoming version 5.6, Varka will also make a surprise appearance. Aside from characters whose name put people at ease,
当然
There
也
are also
有
characters
听到
whose name
名
make
字就
people
让人
worry.
很担心的角色
Yeah,
存
I would
在
assume that's Totore.
在纳塔的魔神
At
任
the
务
end
的
of
最
Nathan's
后，
Archon's
玛
quest,
卡跟我们
Mavrika
提到
told us
的
about
剧中的某
a
个
certain
地点
factory
就在
stronghold in Nod-Krai, indeed.
他们的研究
That's
跟
researching
土卫兵
information
还有关
related
情
to the
报
ancient moon's
除
remnants.
此之外，好像
And
还
it
有
seems
几
there
位
are
执
also
行官
several
也都
harbingers
不明
who
化
are overtly or
参与
covertly
到
going to be involved in
诺
the
卡
great
莱这
conspiracy of
场巨
Nod-Krai.
大的阴谋当中。
Okay, I swear to
当时
God,
马维卡他还
I swear to God, if what's her name? If the angel girl is not playable, I'm losing my fucking mind. I'm losing my fucking mind. What's her name again? Let me see. Genshin, Fatu Harbingers. At least Pantalone has to be playable. But the one I really want is Columbina. If Columbina is not playable in Nod-Krai, I'm upset. Okay, I'm calling it right now. I'm gonna be upset. So I'm gonna be so mad if she's not available. She's gotta be. The other one I want is gonna be no, not Pantalone. Pantalone is freaking Dottore. I meant Sendrone. Sendrone is the one with the marionettes, right? I need Columbina. I could be satisfied with Sendrone. But I really want the damselette.
提到了一些
Nod-Krai can use special powers. Okay. We call them the Frost Moon Scions. Yes, sir. This might not ring a bell to all of you since quite a distant matter.
不太了解，比较有距离感。
Okay.
他们有一些特
But there are certain elements that those of you familiar with the Celtic mythology may recognize. Absolutely. In Celtic myth, druids are religious figures with an affinity and reverence. That's it. I said druids earlier. They view celestial bodies and stars as their gods. Of course, the moon is also a celestial body. Brought it upon recent version events. It's a heavenly body even. Followers of the first moon science can use magic. Okay. Also, Nod-Krai's version is not the first time that such an organization that worships the moon has been mentioned. Indeed. Also have such parties from earlier in Genshin Impact like Dragon Spine from version 1.2 and Surumi Island. What did I say earlier about how it reminded me of Dragon Spine? That's crazy. That's crazy. And the other stuff is what? I mean, there's a lot of people, right? Like if you look at the Crimson Moon, like the dynasty of the Crimson Moon, there's a lot of people that talk about the moon. I really hope Olikino makes a return in Nod-Krai. Another version that lands on World Quest also mention related information. It's not hard to guess that Frost Moon Science are a group that worship the moon. Indeed. Is that Jin? That is Jin. In the land, the duty is to do the best to protect everything the moon stands for. Of course, this ideal clash with the Fatui, who are here to steal the power of the moon. Look at that! It's a Death Star! It's a Death Moon!
在诺卡莱本土还有其他的几个势力。
There's also other factions like the Voynich Guild and Lightkeepers and the Wild Hunto. The Voynich Guild is a merchant guild that engages in commerce. Okay.
商业活动的组织，他们的
The main base of operations is a place called Nasha Town.
纳夏镇的城镇里，纳夏镇。
I kind of like the look of it. Look at this. It's very like It gives me. I wonder if it's gonna be similar to the prison of Fontaine, which is kind of like steampunk. I don't know. There's something about it that gives me like kind of like rickety Street of Zone, if that makes any sense. It's surprising to about the Fury Columbinas, despite not even appearing once in the story. Yeah, maybe.
鱼龙混杂。
No idea.
旅行者也会在这里。
Travelers can get mixed up with all kinds of people in Nasha Town. One particular organization to look at for is the Curatorium of Secrets. Ooh.
他们会
They accept commissions to handle problems that are difficult to solve or can only be solved quietly. Interesting, interesting.
Okay.
Oh god, it's gonna be time for Paimon to take out her detective mustache again. Not gonna lie, I think Detective Paimon was great during Fontaine. Like, unironically, I think Detective Paimon was funny as fuck. Meanwhile, the Lightkeepers also, I want to say, when I talk about Paimon, I talk about the Japanese Paimon. I'm never using the English voices in gacha games. I've heard it once and it triggers me like this. It's crazy. But I mean, I think it's not really a problem because English Paimon is probably going to get replaced soon anyway, so you know. Anyway, back to it.
那直登人和狂猎呢，又是另一个故事了。他们也是
First and foremost, they are enemies to each other. Okay. One reason Nod-Krai is considered an autonomous area in the story, okay, is because it's located on the edge of Teyvat. The edge of Teyvat? Because, okay, let me think. Because with the map of Teyvat, let me see. Genshin Teyvat map. Is this it? I mean, this stuff here, I don't know what it is. Teyvat world is flat? Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we can have that at the moment. Sadly, it doesn't have a. It doesn't show the new version. Why do none of those? There it is. Okay. Right. So we think that, at least personally, I believe that Snezhnaya is like above Fontaine. Is that where it's supposed to be? I feel like this is where Snezhnaya is. The edge of Teyvat? Where would that be? I was actually thinking that Nod-Krai, because of like its environment, felt a bit like a colder Mondstadt. I'm actually feeling like maybe Nod-Krai could be northeast, like around here. Or like, let's say if that Snezhnaya is north here, then Nod-Krai would be up there, basically. So you would have Nod-Krai here, and then it connects to Snezhnaya up top. That's what I think. But then why would they say it's at the... But that wouldn't really be at the edge of the map. After the catastrophe in Canria, this was also the first area to have been corroded by the abyss. Oh, that's interesting, because we know that Canria was under Sumeru. So is it south of Sumeru or north of Sumeru? It has to be close to Sumeru. So maybe Nod-Krai would be here instead. But would it really be at the edge then? I don't know, man. I'm confused. I'm not sure. I'm straight up not sure. Because unless somehow it's been corroded somewhere else than where the Canria catastrophe happened. But we know that the army of the abyss came out from here, poured out from here, right? I don't know. All right, speculation. Let me know what you guys think. Moving on.
灾变发生之后，这里也是第一批受到深渊侵蚀的区域。这里
So the abyssal forces that exist in Nod-Krai are extraordinarily powerful, damn. And these forces gathered to form an abyssal calamity known as the Wild Hunt. Wild Hunt mention! Oh my god! Remember! Remember!
狂烈这个势力或者说这个名词啊，来自于
These words come from Norse folk legend.
是它的意思是说
It refers to an army of ghosts or supernatural hunters, indeed.
的一个大军，无止境的在
Pursuing their prey through the wild.
追逐猎物。狂烈的成员
The members of the Wild Hunt could be fae, spirits, or even the undead. Yeah, I mean, the Wild Hunt is a concept that's been seen in many different media. And you can see it in a lot of like Celtic stuff, but you also see it in a lot of like, Eastern European things. So for example, in stuff like, folklore. I mean, it's been shown in stuff like, what's it called? Like The Witcher, for example, right? So it's really cool. Genshin Impact or Wild Hunt is an army of spirits.
狂烈是一群幽魂大军。
The calamity of the Wild Hunt often begins with absolute monsters that travelers have already seen. Okay. Such as the Rift Hound as the vanguard. The Rift Hound, by the way, that have been made by fucking Rain Dottir for fun. Just for fun. She wanted to make some dogs for fun. And in the way, the ghostly army will ruthlessly destroy anything in their path. Okay. It's precisely because Nod-Krai is the Wild Hunt that the organization exists since ancient times to fight it. The Lightkeepers. So the Lightkeepers, that makes sense. The Lightkeepers, the lantern to dispel the fog and the ghostly appearances of the Wild Hunt. I have a feeling that I'm gonna really enjoy the Lightkeepers. I don't know. There's something about like the mystical aspect of like the lantern as a symbol that always like has me so entertained.
第一次提一集啊，在 5.5 版本，我们新推出了一套圣遗物，这个圣遗物的故事，讲述的就是这个组织的一些事迹。
The Lightkeepers pledge in 5.5.
简单理解的话，他们就
in simple terms, it's like border guards patrolling the area near Nod-Krai to defend it. Okay. The military force with strict discipline. Up until now, we've covered the First Moon Science, the Factory, the Voynich Guild, the Lightkeepers, and the Wild Hunt. I wonder if Varkrai is part of the Lightkeepers at the moment, at least, or at least work with them, right? Right. I wonder if that's what's going on. Because, like, if they're the one patrolling the borders, Nod-Krai, it would make sense if we were to meet them very early on. And we already know that one of the first people we might meet is going to be Varkra. So they might be affiliated.
有直登人，还有狂猎。那再加上
Judging by the information available prior, there are still other factions active in Nod-Krai. Okay. We think that travelers can definitely sense the many story threads we're dealing with here. Oh, dude, I forgot to start my YouTube stream. Including the metaphors, which is not a metaphor we take lightly. We have to take these stories with different backgrounds and characteristics and weave them together into the story and the world of the Song of the Welcome Moon. It's definitely a huge and detailed project. Are there any real-world archetypes that can encompass the design of this region? Oh, yeah, interesting. I'm so sorry, guys. I completely forgot to start my YouTube stream because I was finishing a thumbnail and then I just forgot. So, hi, YouTube. Welcome. I mean, the VOD will be available on Twitch either way, and this is being recorded, so you'll see on YouTube. Hi, YouTube. Hi, future YouTube. Hi, future YouTube video. What's up? Unfortunately, no. Fair enough. Hey, at least sometime maybe people will stop complaining about color scheme. Am I right? Some scenery resembling some aspect of the Baltic Seas, but it's a fully work of fiction. Honestly, this is a challenge for us because we're not using a civilization as the main theme, but instead people. Ooh, interesting. In this case, compared to traditional methods, but an observing of civilization is reflected on its people. We need to consider these people as our actors on the stage. Okay. And what kind of civilization they will create, as well as what elements will be involved. In other words, we moved from content. Oh, that's so cute. They have like little horns. I don't know if they're actually horns, if this just on the hat. I like it a lot. Oh, what the? That's got to be part of the Well Hunt, right? Actually reminds me a lot of the ethereal creatures from Zenless Zone Zero, where their heads becomes like a weird flame core. The way of thinking is especially important for a creation. In the end, we want to achieve is actually the same as the goal of artistic expression we had a few years ago. Okay. We hope anyone who ventures in Nod-Krai can all find their own freedom and joy in this journey. For those asking if there were inspiration from reality in these creations, the answer is, of course. Artistic expression can never be completely divorced from real life. For example, when people talk about Nordic countries, one unique landform it has is its fjords. And in real life, maybe some travelers have seen such impressive scenery before, in Norway or in Iceland. And some travelers may have encountered these in classic games. Yeah? For example, the Howling Fjords in World of Warcraft, or the Isles of Skellig in The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. What did I say? I mean, obviously, it's in the name. The difference in Genshin Impact is that our game relies on cell shading and a hand-drawn style. With this form of expression, how should we present such landforms? Dude, I love the aesthetic here. I love it so much. Like a frosty spring, if that makes any sense. I absolutely love it. This is something we've never done before, but even if it's difficult, even if it's new, doing this will be meaningful. Like the clash between the Frostmourne Sirens and Fatuit we mentioned earlier, the artistic expression of this concept is in fact a clash between man and the environment. How can we blend this sense of primal, natural beauty with a civilization that is both ornate yet technologically advanced? Of course, this concept has been done before. In the Horizon, Xenoblade Chronicles, and Final Fantasy series. We're also fan of these outstanding works. Fair? But Teyvat has its own form of expression. And the design of Genshin Impact must be based on its own characteristics. When we talk about divine power, or the symbols of Teyvat, symbols like the statues of the Seven scattered all over Teyvat comes to mind immediately. In Nod-Krai, they have statues built by local based on their faith in the moon goddesses. Oh, that's cool! So the struggle between the two factions in Nod-Krai over Teyvat's primordial power, could it be said that they are also fighting over the statues? Oh, who's that shadow? Who is that? That looks too detailed to just be a random NPC, right? Interesting. Probably a future character?
我们其实可以尝试通过
That's a traveler, you think?
像的概
I don't know, man.
来，在提瓦特原
It
始
looks
力
like they're
量上
wearing a
争夺
hat.
是否可以
Nah, I don't think that's a traveler. Is it? Maybe it is. It looks like a different outfit to me. I feel like this is a hat with like a little thing here. I don't think that's a traveler, but maybe.
具象化
I might be
为
wrong.
对神像的干预呢？我们其实
We
可
want
以
to try
尝
to change the
试通
statue's
过
appearance
神像的外观变化来体现两
to reflect the
股势力
ecology of the location
相
where
互
these two
对
sides are
抗的
fighting.
地
Fair
方形
enough.
态。
So you might get something a little bit more like close to nature where we have like you know, like the druidic aspect, and then if we get to the place that's probably like held by the Fatui, it's gonna be way more like mechanically advanced and technologically advanced as well, obviously. That's pretty cool.
那我们也
So
提
there's
到
gonna
一
be
个问题
different
就
types of
是
statues.
创作者和
The
玩家
information
之
gap
间
between characters
是
and
会存在一
players,
些信息
okay.
差的。那消解
To
创
reduce
作
this
者和玩
gap,
家之间的信息差，就是我们经常面临
is
的一
also
个
a
挑战
challenge we often encounter.
比如我举个例子，
For
就是
example,
提瓦特
the
的
question of
科技水
Teyvat's
平
level of
问题。
technological
很多旅行者他其实
advancement,
基于早
the
年
travelers
接
base
触
their
原型
understanding
的
of the
印
first
象，他
impression
认
of
为
Genshin Impact and feel that
提瓦特
Teyvat
是
is
一个比较
relatively
落后
medieval,
的，大概15世纪
like a
左右
fantasy world set in the
奇幻
15th
世界。
century.
那其实我们随
But
着
over these
这
past 5 years
5
of
年多的
updates,
内容更新，我们有陆陆
we've
续
been
续地
showing
给玩家展
players
示
And dude, the players have been kicking and screeching about it. Every time there's a new characters in Natlan, they're so upset about it.
提瓦特这个世界不同的侧面。
Different
比
side
如
of
在纳
Teyvat,
这
such
个
as in
版本，我们
Natlan,
有很多远超
where
人
there
类
is an
文明
ancient
叫
dragon
古
technology
科
far
技。
surpassing
就是比
any
如
human
前几年
civilization.
每一个国
Past few
家
years, every nation
它
has
都
had
会有一
its
些
own
组织，比如教
organizations,
令院，
such
比
as
如
the
原著，
Academia,
比
the
如枫
Factory,
丹科
and the
学院，
Fontaine Research
那他们也
Institute.
是一直
They're
在
always
尝
challenging
试
the
挑
cutting
战
edge of.
尖端的科技。
They're always challenging the what?
科学院，那他们也是
The cutting edge of technological advancement. Okay.
一直在尝试挑
I love
战
the mechas.
尖端的科技。所以接下来
So as for
在这个
Nod-Krai
有
with
很
its
多
many
个势力
factions,
融合的罗德卡莱，是
Nod-Krai,
自然会出
they'll
现
naturally
比
have
其他地方高
technology
得多
much
的
more
科技
advanced
造
than
物
other
和一些独
regions,
特的风景的。
as well as scenery that
虽
is
然
wholly
我是
unique.
认为这些内
Although
容
we
的
feel that this
铺垫
content
时
will
间
last
已
a
经
long
足够长
time
了吧？涵盖的内容
and
面
cover a
也比较
variety of
丰富
meaningful
但
areas,
是具
we
体
also
的
realize
在
that
某
when
个
we
特定
present
的
them
位
in
置呈
certain
现它们
specific
的时候，
locations,
不可避免的还是
travelers
会
may
让一些
inevitably
旅行者
find
觉
it
得比较
jarring.
突兀。那持续
So
的
deciding how to resolve this
如何
information
解决
gap
这个信息差的问题，如何去消解
or
它，
get rid of it
其实对我
entirely
们来说
is
也
a
算
very
是一个
major
难题。
challenge for us. Okay, I don't like to share about the future. Yee, tell us.
原神的未
The future of
来
Genshin
呀
Impact.
我觉得未来这个
I feel like
词
future is a very
未
broad
来这个
term.
词有点大。其实我以前
I
经
actually
常
like to
提一
use
个
a
词
certain
叫做
word,
叫做
evolution.
进化。
Okay.
进化这个词
Although it's
说
easy
起
to
来
talk
很
about
容易啊，它不
evolution,
是一
it's
件
not easy to
很
make
容易的
something
事。
evolve.
就是你一个
Whether
人
it
一
be
个组织一
about a
个产
person, a
品，你想
project,
进
or
化，你需要
organization,
不断的
you
去
have to keep
对
asking
自
yourself
己发问，
questions
你要逼着自
and
己
force
去
yourself
做出
to
一些
make
改变。
changes.
比如
Okay.
去年我记
For
得
example, last year I remember that Dawei
2024
once said
年
that
的时
for
候，大伟
Genshin
哥有说
Impact,
过一句话，叫做
the only
原神
constant
除
thing
了
is
对
our
旅行者
companionship
的
with
陪伴以
travelers.
外，一切皆
And
可改
everything
变。
else can change.
那可能当时
At the
大家
time,
会
maybe
觉得
everyone
这
thought
是
it
一
was
句
just a
客套话，
formality.
但其实对我们
But
来
for a
说，
team
就
and
是
for our
你要
industry,
去做出一些
change
改变，
isn't a
不
word
是
that
一
is
个
thrown out lightly.
随口说说的这种口号。我举个例子
For
啊，可能没跟
example,
大家聊
I
过
may
这
not
个
have
事
talked
情，
about
就
this
是
with everyone, but at the end
去
of
年
last
年底
year,
的时候，我们跟着
we
公
went
司
to
的代表团
Tokyo with a group of
去
company
日本东京
representatives
参加了
attended
索
the
尼
Sony
的一个
PlayStation
30
30th
周年
anniversary
庆祝晚会。
celebration.
那在那
And
一
that
晚呢，我们
night,
其实是跟
we
很
talked with
多
many
业界的
industry
前辈
veterans,
交流过。那比如说
such
From
as the
Software
president
公
from
司的社
Software,
长
Mr.
宫崎英高先
Hidetaki
生，
Miyazaki,
还
Hidetaka,
有
sorry,
史克威尔艾尼
and
克
from
斯
Square
最
Enix,
终幻想七
the
重
producer
制
of
版
Final
三部
Fantasy
曲
VII
的制作
Remake
人
Trilogy,
冰口
Mr.
直树先生
Naoki Hamaguchi,
还有当年在
and also
最
Mr.
困难的时候
Shuhei
支持
Yoshida,
我们的吉田
who
修平
supported
先
us
生
back then when we
等
were
等
at
等
our
等，见
lowest.
过很多很多
We
的
met with many veterans in
那
the industry
我们跟他们
and
也
talked
聊
at
到
length
了一
with
些
them
关于
about the
游戏
starting
的
point for
创
the
作出
creation
发
of
点，
games.
也聊到了包
We
括
talked
还
about
有
design
开放世
elements,
界的设计
including
要素，
open worlds,
也聊到了这些
as
作
well as
品
how we can
怎
better
么
develop
去
rapport
和下一
rapport
世
with
代
the
的玩
next
家
generations of
产生共
players.
情。我们聊了很多很多
We
这
had
样的
many
话题。
conversations of this sort.
那
And back then I was
我当时就
thinking,
在想， 我说原神
Genshin Impact has been around for over 5 years.
那
But these other works have been around for 30
30
years.
年里，他们陪伴了我们
And have
30
accompanied us for 30
年。
years.
原神也好，
Whether
这
it's
些作
Genshin
品也好
Impact or these
其
other
实我们
works,
都在
we are all being
对现在这
challenged
个
by
时
the
代挑
current
战。
times.
我们都必须
We have to
去
think of how to
思考
change
去
ourselves.
改变自己。那和这
Of
些
course,
前
I
辈
was
讨论
excited
这
to
些话
discuss
题啊
these
我
topics with our
我当然
seniors
很
in the
兴奋的
industries.
也很荣幸嘛。
And it was a
但
great
是
honor, but on the way
回来
back, I
的
kept
路上，
asking
我一直
myself,
在问我自己，就是
have we really
我们是不
changed
是真
everything
的
we can?
做到了皆可改变呢？是不是真的什么都
Have
可
we
以做
done
到呢？
everything we could possibly do?
那我觉得很显
I
然，
thought it was an
我们可以
obvious
去做的事情
answer.
还有
There are
非
still
常
many,
非
many
常
things that we can do.
有什么内容是
What is content
只
that
有
only
原
Genshin
神可
Impact
以
can
做的，有
produce?
什么
What are new
新的尝试
ideas
是
that
只有
only
原
the
神
Genshin
的团
Impact
队
team
才
can
有
come up
可能
with?
想到的？我们一直
We've
在
always been
探
looking
索
to
这样
dig
的可
deeper
能
for
性
such
但是
possibilities,
往
but
往
what stands in our
阻
way is
碍
certain
我们探
old-fashioned
索
ways of
都是一
thinking.
些 陈旧、
Okay.
具有惯性的思维镣铐。那比如说，
For example, we
大
can't
世界
put
不能放
characters
角
into
色，
the open
为
world.
什么？
Well, why not?
前几年用
In
户
the past few
的
years, it
设
was
备性
because
能
user
不够，
devices
那
had
现在够不够呢？
insufficient
够的
capacities.
话就放呗。
But now, if they
所以
have
说
it,
这个就
let's
是
do it.
有益履
Which
为
is why we recently launched
就是我们
Travelers
前段时间可以在大世界
Tales, a limited time event where you could rent two characters in the open world.
角
Yeah.
色的这个活动。任务的设
Should
计
quest design be
一
fixed
定
in
要
traditional
固化
models?
在传统的模式里吗？当然不是。
Once again, the answer is
只要
no.
故事讲得好，
As long as the story is
只要
told
角
well,
色塑造得当，
As long as the
只要
characters
玩
are
家
developed
看得
well,
爽，
and as long as the players
后日
enjoy the
谈
experience,
活动剧情
afterwards,
世界
event
任务
stories or
有
world quests,
什么样的
can we tell
形
stories
式
in
是
any of those
不能
ways?
做的呢？所以
So before
在
the Song of the
空远
Welcome
之歌的
Moon,
版本前期，我们先
we
尝
will
试
experiment
用
with using an
超风
overscaled
格的
main
主线
storyline to shoulder
承
the
担了
bulk
角
of
色们
character
的主要塑
development.
造工作，
Ooh, poggers!
而原本的
As
那
for the
种
traditional
祖
story
宗之
quests
法
and
不
hangout
可
events
变
once
的
treated as
传说任务
untouchable, scared
优约
traditions,
任务
sacred traditions,
的内
sorry.
容，我们尝试用
We've
更
now
加
adopted a more
润
solo
物细
approach
无声的做法，自然的
to
融入到
organically
这
weave
个
them into world
世界
exploration
的探
and
索和交互里
interactions.
用内
To
容
replace
去
lines of
替代
dialogue with
台词
content,
用反
to replace
馈
pure
去替
narration
代
with
叙事
feedback,
把体验做
and to make the
活做
experience more
宽
realistic
做到
and
更加生
expansive
动。
and vivid.
你比如说
Take like
执政
keepers
人
in
跟
Wild
行
Hunt, for
灵
instance,
他
or
们是对手
enemies.
那对手
And they'll
之
definitely
间
have special
会不会有一些
interactions.
特殊的互动？比如刚才讲
As for the
纳沙跟
Curatorium
那
secrets in
灭
Nasha
亡馆
Town,
说对
the
情报
Curatorium
收
is
集的
good
工
at
作很有一
gathering
套
intel.
那这个情报收集工作
Can
有
this
没有办
intelligence
法
gathering
从
dynamic be
可玩
showcased
的
through
内容
gameplay to reflect their
去
skill?
呈现他们对情报的这种掌控力？那还比如说双月
And
之
for the
子
First
它
Moon
跟月亮
Scions,
之间
they have a
有
deep
很深
connection
的
to the
关系
moon.
那这种联系
Can we
能
skip
不
the
能
restriction
跳
of
出
loading this
阅读
information
目
into reading
这样一个
materials
限制，变成一个
and turn
体
into a
验，一个
tangible
实实在在存
experience?
在的东西。那我觉得就是
I feel like the
原
Genshin
神这个
Impact team
团队到
believes.
今天为止，我认
I feel like that's a big thing. A lot of people have always complained about that, about how Genshin Impact's lore is super interesting, but don't like how it's being told, basically. And I think that's pretty fair. Like, a lot of very important lore is basically behind reading books that you pick up in the wild, right? And a lot of people don't like that. So I think if they cannot start weaving all of this important information into the actual storyline rather than just books and collectible, I think that's definitely going to be a plus.
为是有能力把我
We
们
have the
刚才
ability
说
to
的
take
这
those
些
ideas
构
from
想
earlier
以一个符合
and make
我
them
们
into
预期的
something
品质
concrete and of
踏
quality.
实落地的。
Okay.
那我觉得原神这
I
个
believe
团
that the
队最大
greatest
的
strength
优
of the
势
Genshin
那
Impact
从
team
来
has
就
always
是
been the ability to
能够
utilize
调
all
用
these
这一切的
resources
资源来呈现我们内
to,
容
to present our
我们的小伙
content
伴们。
with the help of our
当然还有一
colleagues.
起陪
Of
伴我
course, we
们这么
also
多
have
年来
those
一
who have
起信任我们
accompanied
愿
us
意
all
跟我
these
们一
years
起进步，愿意
every
跟
step
我
of
们
the
一起
way.
成长
Ah,
的一
cute.
位玩家。
As
就
we
和
go
诺卡
together,
莱的设计思
blah,
路
blah,
是一
blah.
样
Just
的。
like the philosophy behind Nod-Krai.
人才是
To
永
have
恒的
people
主
is a theme that lasts
人才
forever.
是
To have people is
前
to
进的
have
动力
a driving force to step
只
into the
要我
future,
们团
as long
队
as
的
the
小
team
伙
strive
伴
to work
还
on
在
something
坚
good,
持做好的
fair,
东西，做难的东
and
西，
to work on something difficult, and to work on something that nobody has ever done before.
那这个优势就不会
We
轻
won't
易地
easily
丧
let
失
go
掉
of。this strength.
这就是原神以及整个米哈游
It's what
所
Genshin
坚持
Impact and
的
all of miHoYo
something
swear
new,
by.
something
Something
exciting,
new, something exciting, something out of
imagination.
imagination.
我们有信心，
We are confident
也必然可
that
以
we will be able to
在
continue
未
bringing
来
out
持
players
续
new
给
surprises in
玩
the
家
future.
带来新的惊喜。
Okay. It's a triple moon! Okay! I think that was pretty interesting. I would have enjoyed a bit more, maybe, you know, like maybe a little teaser trailer.
体验
Maybe a teaser trailer about Nod-Krai would have been nice. But it's always nice to have like a kind of a behind the scene talk about how they're moving forward. It's always interesting. I really enjoy seeing like the thought process of the developing team for games. That's also why I like, you know, like for example, the no clips documentaries about like game development have always been very interesting to me. So I really like this. Maybe a little bit more to sink our teeth into would be required in the near future, but we will get there, right? I mean, the next patch is going to be what, 5.6 or is it 5.7? I don't even know at this point. I think it's 5.5? Are we only at 5.5? Let me see. Genshin Escoffier patch. 5.6. Okay, so we are at 5.6, which means 5.7 is going to be the last patch. So we're pretty close. We'll be getting some Nod-Krai stuff soon. Overall, very exciting, very cool stuff. I think a lot of the faction that's going to be there. I think the one that excites me the most is definitely going to be, for now, at least as face value, it's going to be the Frost Moon Scions, or whatever it's called. I think that's the one I'm most excited for. But overall, I think that city, like the fact that they compared it to potentially something like, the fact that they kind of compared it to like Crossbell has me extremely excited. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Let me know what you guys think. Are you excited for Nod-Krai? Let me know with a comment down there, and like, subscribe if you enjoyed this. And just watching the video has been enough support already. I really appreciate it. So I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.